So, hello, friends. I got some decks, and I want to talk with you all about creating decks. Actually, maybe it'd be better if I showed another deck that I did first. So, like the rest of you, I enjoy tarot decks, but my issue with tarot decks is this. This is a learner deck over here. I'm gonna show you the size and the grip. So here's a standard size tarot deck, and here is a standard playing card deck. Now, playing card decks are the size that they are for good reason, because dealers, card dealers, magicians, things like that, they need to be able to grip the cards well to do the tricks and everything else that they do. As I'm reading, I like to be able to grip my cards too. Plus, for those of you that may not be acquainted with me from my other channels, my experience with cards began with playing cards somewhere in between 3 or 4. So, I'm from Ohio. I don't know if you know, but the original U.S. Playing Card Factory was in Cincinnati. People in Ohio play all types of cards. As incentives, when you would buy groceries, you could get cards. Your jobs every year will probably give out playing cards with their logo on and all this. So I mean, I was always surrounded by cards. My family are avid bid whist players, and as well as spades, and they taught us how to play spades when we were around 4 or 5, and so my experience with cards. Now, as a reader, my experience as far as divination probably began with dream deciphering. So my style of reading is with symbols, the symbology. I've been studying symbols, I guess most likely since I could read. I started reading around 4, started learning about astrology around 4. And so symbols have been strong for me. I know other people sometimes it's imagery, and I mean, imagery is strong for me too, because usually the images hold the symbols. I say all of that to say this: when I make an oracle deck, I don't need the pictures per se. Although I do like oracle decks and tarot decks with great pictures, because they hold so many symbols in one picture. When I make decks, I make symbology decks. This is probably the issue. I make symbology decks, so I can only get one symbol on here. Now, a symbol could hold 5, 10 different interpretations, but when you're looking at, say, I'm just going to pull a random card out the deck. Good one to pull too, huh? Say, like, when you look at a tarot card, so you're looking at the symbology on the tarot card. There's a white horse symbolizing a victory. There's a red banner also symbolizing the victory of the rider. There's a child symbolizing a new beginning. There's sunflowers symbolizing hope. There's the sun symbolizing the power, the beginning of a new day, being the center of the universe. Things revolving around you, going your way. So see, you get all that. But in these decks, say like this is incantation, and it's someone using words to cast a spell. That's my own symbol, but I interpret symbols. I might see incantation. I may imagine someone dancing, because some people dance when they do incantations. And I can look at the other symbols and then figure out what is it that the message is. Depending on your style, I get it. But I think that these decks are really good, because they teach you to then learn how to lean on the symbols more so than the pictures. So when things cross your path randomly, you're like, oh my God, what does that mean? You'll start to know yourself, and you won't have to look them up. You will start to remember the symbols yourself. Like if someone says, oh my God, I keep having a dream about apples. Immediately, I'm going to say either someone new or something new has come into your life, you find it to be tempting, or somebody's pregnant, or you pregnant, or there's some new information that you need to dig into. I don't often find myself looking up symbols unless they're new symbols that maybe if they're not Western symbols, I find myself looking them up. So my point is this. Let's say that you, like me, you enjoy tarot decks and oracle decks, but you don't want to put out all that money. Or let's say you're like me and you have put out a lot of money, but you don't feel like it's tailored to you. You really want something that's tailored to you. You have become a very intuitive reader and you want to take your reading to the next level. Making your own deck is definitely the next move for you, because the energy that you put into a deck of your own makes it that much easier to read. Y'all work together. Y'all are each other. You created this. You're the creator. This is your creation. It's like you're God, and this is your universe. It's going to do what you tell it to do anyways. In creating a deck, for me, the first thing is the look of the deck. Now, that's funny because I just said pictures aren't everything, but I do enjoy the way they look. So, as you all see, I'm a bicycle fan. I spend a lot of time going through Walmart. It used to be Target, but here recently Target took all their cards off the shelf. I don't know what's up with that. Barnes and Noble, and there's another store, Kroger, friends. If you buy cards, even if you don't read cards, if you just buy bicycle cards because you collect them, Kroger is a great place to look because they throw them on clearance like at least 4 times a year, and you can get one of these $4 or $5 decks for maybe $1.50. But recently, Bicycle has been putting out maybe about 6 to 8 decks at a time every month. But what happens is when you go to the store, maybe every 3 to 4 weeks, they'll change out what they have. And the recent designs have been very fairy tale-ish, pastel-y, and I love it. And this week we went and they had these mermaid decks in. Now, mind you, I had to have them. I love mermaid stuff. It would be nice if for once the mermaids were brown or black. They could be pitch black, and that would be wonderful too, because I've seen some wonderful pitch black decks and tarot decks. But they're not, and I'll take them as they are. Actually, when you get it, she's not actually white. She's actually a blue color. So, I mean, it's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind. I just, sometimes as a consumer, and especially being a consumer of color, it would be nice if they reflected you in some way, shape, or form. But it's all good. Point is this. I had to have them. I love fairy tales. I love myths. And I really love mermaid or siren myths. So I decided to get the deck. I wanted to show you what the face cards look like in here, because they're kind of rainbow colored. The King of Hearts, the Suicide King. But look at his beard. Isn't it dope? The point is this. I got the deck, and I'm so excited, and I couldn't immediately make up my mind. What am I going to make this deck? I don't know how am I going to use the deck. That can be the hardest part of creating a deck. How am I going to create a deck? So, I had a few lists that I was going to do, and then all of a sudden I thought, let's look at why do you love mermaids? Because you love fairy tales, and I decided to make the first deck a fairy tale deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of all the fairy tales that I am aware of, or that I love, or that I know. Most times I do 52. Sometimes I do 54 because I like to include the jokers in the deck. If I include the jokers in the deck, the 2 cards that I use for the jokers are the type of thing that's like stand out, stop. end of the road, stop the reading here, it gets no bigger than this, or it's something that's surprising, shocking, or could go either way. So the next part of this video is going to actually be my list. I'm going to show you where I get my list from, how I acquire my list, and then I'm going to show you really quickly on maybe one or two cards how I write my symbols, and then I'm going to show you the finished deck, and hopefully it will help you to figure out how to make your own deck, because I'd love to see more people making their own decks that are tailored to them, because the world needs more seers. They need more visionaries. They need more advice. They need people that can tap into that. And I think if you made your own deck, you may find yourself tapping into it a lot better and a lot more. So let's get on with the list. Okay, so I'm about halfway through writing my fairy tales for the fairy tale deck. And I realized I don't think this is the way I want to do it. And this comes with designing decks. I realize now that some of these stories have a couple different storylines going on, and maybe it would be better to actually represent certain characters from the story tales. So in my revision, I'm going to end up picking some characters from these storylines, and enough to make a 54 card deck, enough to have 54. So once I revise it, I will hit you back with the new list. Okay, so I'm back with my deviated list, since I told you all I had to change the list. And let's go over the cards and what they're going to mean. Okay, so the first card is Pinocchio, and it's going to mean basically someone who's telling lies, or someone who wants to be adopted by someone, or someone who becomes their better self when someone shows them love. The second card is going to be Geppetto, and it's going to be someone who wants to adopt someone into their family, or someone who does transform someone into their higher self with their love and support. The third card is going to be the Talking Cricket. The Talking Cricket is going to symbolize a couple different things. It's going to symbolize your conscience, any advice, therapy, or spirit guides, because in the real story, the Talking Cricket actually died, but he still came back to give advice because the advice needed to be given. The fourth card is going to be Aladdin, and it's going to symbolize a thief, or someone who magically transforms their life from one place to the next. The next card is going to be a genie. Now, and we all know what genies do. They grant wishes, but they're very tricky about their wishes. Okay, and then number 6 is going to be the golden lamp, and the golden lamp is going to signify something that you found, something that you didn't expect to find, that brings you great fortune, or some turn of fortune. Doesn't always have to be good fortune, but it's a turn of fortune. The next card is going to be Alice. Alice is going to symbolize someone who's going through a transformative period in their life, learning who they are, going on new adventures. The white rabbit is going to symbolize a guide, someone or something that is trying to help you find your own inner truth. The Queen of Hearts is going to be someone who's constantly angry, spoiled, but carries a lot of power. The Cheshire Cat is going to be someone who explains things to you, right? Who makes things evident to you, but you don't quite trust them because they're kind of sneaky. The caterpillar is going to symbolize a couple different things. It's going to symbolize old, wise people. I'm also going to use it to symbolize people who are intoxicated. People who are high, but also to symbolize people who have reached ascension or enlightenment or the path to it. Then there's going to be the Mad Hatter, and the Mad Hatter is going to represent people who have been enlightened to the truth of the world, but have been made crazy by it, because everybody can't handle the truth of the world. Okay? And the March hare is going to be someone who likes to toy with you, talks in riddles, does things, just to watch you squirm. That's going to be the March hare. And then I have the ant from the ant and the grasshopper. And the ant is going to be a hard worker, but someone who's smart enough to realize that group work is more powerful than the couple people in the hierarchy. The grasshopper is going to be somebody who thinks they're more powerful than you, or thinks they're better than you, or can run you because they have more money or they have a higher position. Beauty from Beauty and the Beast, or Belle, is going to represent a young woman. It could be a card for someone who accepts people for their inner qualities over their outer qualities. It could also mean daughter. I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted Belle to represent. Oh, in lieu of the movies, Belle could mean someone who's an avid book reader as well. The Beast is going to be someone who's misunderstood, someone who's judged by their outer qualities, so people don't see their inner qualities. Or it could actually literally be a beast, because cards, they symbols are kind of weird. It could actually mean someone who acts beastly and could be hiding it. The next one is Cinderella. It's going to symbolize someone who works hard, someone who doesn't believe in themselves, someone who is waiting for someone else to help them out of their situation. The next one is going to be the fairy godmother. That's going to be a spirit guide. I have a fairy godmother card in another deck. You've probably seen it. So fairy godmother is going to represent someone who can grant wishes for you, spirit guides, ancestor, animal guides, gods, deities, all of the above. The glass slipper is going to symbolize something that only fits with the person that it's supposed to fit with. Something that people covet, but unless it was meant for them, it doesn't make them happy. So the card could mean if it's for you, if it's meant for you, you'll have it. If not, it wasn't meant for you. It doesn't fit you. Kind of like if the shoe fits. The Wicked Witch of the West is going to symbolize someone who's bitter. A bitter person, a bitter, mean person, someone who's actually mean, someone who does dark work, someone who's possibly doing spirit work against you. The next one is going to be Glinda, the Good Witch. It's going to be someone who uses their powers to help people advance, or it's also going to be kind of like my Everything That Glitters Isn't Gold card, because sometimes things are pretty and beautiful and they're not what they seem on the cover. And upon reading later into the books, Glinda's not exactly what people believe. Husband, and that card is for the Fountain of Youth story. The husband in the Fountain of Youth finds the Fountain of Youth. He drinks just enough to be young. He goes and finds his wife and shares the news. So I'm going to use it as a loving husband, right? But the wife in the Fountain of Youth is going to be used for someone who's greedy, because in the story, she drank too much. She told him to stay and she would go herself, and she drank too much and she never came back and she turned into a baby. So the wife card is going to talk about greed and how it moves you back to your lower self. It's very, greed is childish. And then the Fountain of Youth itself transforms people. But if it transforms you for the good or the bad depends on your intent. And then you have the Frog Prince. I didn't put the princess in this one, but the Frog Prince is someone who has been changed into something that they're not, bound by some other circumstances, things that keep them from shining through to be who they really are. And then we're going to move up. I have the Princess and the P. And that's going to be someone who's really sensitive. Also, someone who's being doubted. Some of these are kind of explanatory. Now, on this one, I actually did put the title name because we already have a genie. But the Fisherman and the Genie. But the Fisherman and the Genie story is about a fisherman who finds a golden lamp, and when the genie comes out, he starts talking about how long he's been locked up, and what if someone found him in the first 100 years, what all he was going to do for him, second 100 years, what all he's going to do for him. But the third 100 years, he decided whoever found him, he was going to kill him. So he was basically telling the fisherman he was going to kill him, but then the fisherman tricked him back inside the bottle and sealed him up. So to me, that card means someone that uses the hand that's dealt to them and still comes out on top. The Snow White card is going to symbolize naivete, people being envious of you, people are actually out to get you. Then we have the magic mirror, and that's just going to be a mirror that shows you what's really going on instead of what you believe. Okay, like you need to take a second look at the situation. And then we got the Evil Queen, and that's going to represent any jealous person, male or female. Someone that's bothered by another's beauty, another's wealth, another's belongings, just an envious person. A poison apple is going to be something that looks delicious, but is actually bad for you. That could be deadly. And then the Huntsman is going to represent being in a position of having to do something horrible that you really don't want to do, but you have to if you want to live. But it could also possibly stand for feeling like you have no other option, but still deciding to take the righteous path. And then Prince Charming is going to stand for what people believe Prince Charming is. Someone that rides in on a horse. Someone that comes and changes your world around. Someone that kisses you and wakes you from your sleeping state. We're going to leave it as that. And then I have Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood is going to represent someone who is cloaked. Someone who finds himself in trouble because maybe they're not protecting themselves as well as they should. This also going to represent when you get hurt or you find yourself in the path of trouble because you were trying to do something good for someone else, because it happens to us all the time. The Big Bad Wolf is going to be just that, the Big Bad Wolf. You know, someone who comes through and causes trouble trying to kill you, or in the case of Three Little Pigs, huff, puff, and blow your house down. The next card is going to be the Three Little Pigs. The Three Little Pigs are going to represent perseverance, trying out all options until you find one that actually works. Rumpelstiltskin, I think that's going to be a Joker card. And that's going to be just something you just can't figure out. It's above you. It's above your pay grade. You just can't figure it out. The next card is going to be King Midas. It could go in the positive manner. It can go that everything you touch is golden, like everything is wonderful. In the negative manner, it could be that everything turns golden, but once it turns golden, it's inedible. It doesn't service you. So getting something that you thought you wanted, and then once you have it, you realize it's not what you need, or it's in the way of what you need. I have a Jack card for the next one, and Jack is from Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack is going to represent taking risky offers because you trust your inner instinct that it's going to pay off, and it actually pays off. The Beanstalk is going to stand for moving from level to level. You believed in something or you did something, a beanstalk grew, and now it's time for you to go up the beanstalk to see what's waiting. Could be good, could be bad. The next one is going to be the actual magic beans. Magic beans are going to be things that look normal, but under the right care, transform into something spectacular. On this one, you have Hansel and Gretel, and they're both going to represent the same thing, but one is going to represent male and one's going to represent female, and they're going to represent being abandoned, but also being witty. Could be being witty. Could be growing to do things that you didn't think you'd have to do, but having the courage to go on and do those things. The woodcutter is the father, and the woodcutter in my deck is going to represent someone who loses themselves in a relationship and doesn't realize how harmful the person they're in a relationship is to the rest of their family, because his wife actually kept trying to lose the kids. And then the woodcutter's wife is going to be someone that you could possibly fall for, or you fall for, but they're not good for you or the people around you. And then the cannibal witch, and she's going to be someone that tricks you with the things that you like, money, sex, food, but really she just wants to bring you in so she can devour you. Then we have the Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is going to represent unrequited love, desperate love, changing oneself for another's approval, losing out when you change yourself, losing of yourself. And the Sea Witch is going to represent someone that helps you make something possible, make something happen that you want to make happen, because you're going to pay them. You're going to pay them kindly, and that's all they worry about. And then you have the Ugly Duckling, and that's going to be for someone who transforms in some way, especially those who have horrible traits, personal traits, and then they change them. And then you have Goldilocks, and that's going to be a card about people who believe they're entitled to things that aren't theirs. They like, I'm just special, and this is, the world owes me, everything in the world is mine. Boo boo. And then Robin Hood is going to be someone who appears to be an outlaw, but the things they do actually benefit those around them. And then the last two cards, this is going to be the second Joker, the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is going to be someone who seems to be all powerful, someone that uses their knowledge of technology, in this deck, spell work or anything else, to make everyone believe that they're all powerful, right? But in reality, those who know that they're not. And the last card is going to be Dorothy. And Dorothy could represent also, just like Alice, someone who's been swept up in the events around them during the transformation period. Someone who's lost, someone who's going to be traveling away from home. Or also, if you're doing like a weather reading or the weather's supposed to be bad, it could indicate a tornado. So now that you've heard all of the cards, I'm going to show you how I do one or two of the cards, and then I'll come back and I'll do a quick reading with the deck. Okay, so welcome back. It's only going to be a couple things that you need to make your deck. You're going to need your cards, and you're going to need Sharpies, fine points, and just decide what cards you want to put them on. I usually only worry about what I want on the Jokers and the Queen cards and the King cards. I usually go through my list and figure out, do I have like big male characteristics or huge male personalities in my list, and I'll put those on the Kings. I'll put my females like that on the Queen cards, and the rest of it, I just go through the list and write them down, except for number twos. If if I have principles that have to do with relationships, contracts, things like that, I will put those on number twos. The rest of them, I usually just run through the list, and oddly enough, they usually work out. Like, I have often just looked like, oh my God, how did that work out? Like, I usually have the numerology to match up with the numbers. So I don't know. It could just be a magical knack. I don't know. But so let's show you how I'm going to do it. So this card, I'm going to make Rumpelstiltskin. And I'm just going to, I think I'm going to write it on the bottom of this card. I kind of like the names at the bottom. You know, and I just try to be as neat as I can. And I'm not always that neat. My print is not the best. And everybody can't read my cursive, so. And, you know, there we have the card. This one is going to be the Wizard of Oz. And I tell you what, sometimes if you're not sure that you're going to be able to remember the meanings of your cards, you can easily write the meanings down the sides, over the top. You know, some decks I do, some decks I don't. This one I don't think I am, but if I need to put, say like the one that says wife, and I need to put the story Fountain of Youth, I'm going to end up writing that across the top. Actually, I'm going to do that one for y'all. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the Fountain of Youth diamonds because of the wealth that's associated with being able to get your youth back. And then so then the actual Fountain of Youth is going to be the ace. Okay, so let's start off with the wife card. So I'm going to put wife down here. But up here I'm going to write Fountain of Youth. There you go. And this is how I sometimes decide. But like I said, if you're not going to be using the playing cards for actually playing cartomancy, I don't really feel like it makes a difference. I feel like you're tapping into a frequency to make cards work. And the frequency that you're tapping into, it's going to make sense of what you're trying to do, whether you're using playing cards, water, music, books, bones, sand, dice. So I don't really feel like actually drawing on top of playing cards is something that like they have to actually match the cartomancy of the card. I've had success, you know, reading with my cards without doing that. So I made a boo-boo, guys. Please don't make a boo-boo on yours. Please, please, because once you make a boo-boo, it's there. I mean, you're not selling these. So maybe you could be, but they're for your own personal use, so I guess it's not that bad. But I hate when I make mistakes. I've only made maybe like 2 or 3 in a deck. And, I mean, there you go. I'll come back when my deck's done and we can try it out. So, I finished the deck. And let's say, what was... I'm trying to think of something we can read for that we'll know the answer to. what was Bella and Edward's relationship like when they first met each other? Let's pick two cards. Okay. And for the two cards, we have this interesting. We have someone who's privileged and entitled. Someone who destroys properties or just takes what they want and need, which I would say is Edward because he's a bloodsucker. He's a vampire, and they've been living all these years, so he's pretty entitled and privileged. And the other one says someone dealing with abandonment issues, somewhat self-absorbed. It says abusive stepmother, but how about abandonment is on there, and she did feel abandoned by her mother because her mother got a husband and she felt like she spent all her time with him, which is true. So for how did Bella and Edward's relationship begin, that's pretty good. Let's see, how did it progress? It says a fountain of youth, the husband, and you can't get any better than that because the husband tells the wife where the fountain is so she can go and be forever young. And Edward changes over Bella and she becomes forever young. So I'm going to say these cards are a go. My new deck is going to work wonderfully. And I hope you enjoyed this learning process. I hope that maybe you'll make the deck for yourself. I'm going to put a link in to see my worksheet, the names, the name list. If you decide to do this exact deck, I'm going to do that. I think maybe I need to rewrite it because you'll see as I work on my list, I have to check them off and check again, make sure I didn't miss anything. And there are a few cards that I actually wanted on kings and queens. But I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you return back to my page. I can't wait to see you all. Wishing you all the best and have a great day.